Well, I owned all the mines. Like, if everywhere, well, everybody had to come to me for oil or fuel, basically. Like, I owned like 90% of everything. I mean, I would always go to a country and I'd be like, let's dig. Let's find out. Well, other people traveled along the surface of the ground. I was always like, let's just go underground. Let's get down there about 1,000 feet and we'll just cruise it. Just cruise along underneath. I mean, there are quite a few places like on this planet where I just paid people to basically go down about, just start going in and go down about 1,000 feet or so, and then level off, and then just start trucking across the country underneath the ground. Because I mean, you know, if you dig down about 1,000 feet, or until you hit the water table or whatever, or just stay just above the water table or whatever, actually you should. The real good stuff is below the water table. But but basically, if you just go down a couple 100 feet, and then you just, well, I mean, when you get to get to the coal and stuff, you got to get way down there, like at least 1,000 feet or so, like that. But anyway, if you get down there like 15,000 feet, if you get down there a long ways and you just start cruising along, la 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 la, dig underneath the ground, which I love, like that's where I live, like dig towards the mountain. And if you just go in like that and just start heading down in the middle of a continent, like you're bound to hit something. Like you'll find there's all kinds of stuff down there. Like, I mean, like half of my thing, it's like go somewhere. And that's another thing. Like I say, I was digging inside where it's really wet and stuff. And when you go down inside where it's wet, like if you go down in any of the jungle places, like in Panama, it's like bloop, 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 bloop. I can't throw the water out. Like you can't throw out the water fast enough. You get waterlogged. But if you go out in the desert and you just start digging down, like blasting, boom, boom, and getting down in there, like there's a lot of good stuff down there. I mean, all that. There's iron, there's all this, there's that, there's all kinds of stuff down there. And you're bound to hit oil or gas or something like that. I mean, it's actually kind of dangerous to be digging underground. But anyway, all the good stuff was down there. So we would just get down there, just da 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 la 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 la, and it'd be like, bunk. Oil's bubbling out of the ground, sir. It's black. It's like, oh, what's that? Anyway, so we would run into things when we were digging down, like oil or this or that, and they'd be bucketing it up and then taking it out. It's like, yep, well, there must be oil down there. Anyway, and where there's oil, there's coal. So dig down. Follow it. So we would start to dig down because where there's oil, there's coal. So anyway, so everyone was always going after, it was like, well, that's Lucifer's star mine, LS, and so, everyone else, my land was always highly contested because I'd be like, go buy it. And I could very quickly buy whatever I wanted because, I had the oil, I had the heating oil, I had the cooking oil, I had the oil for the fuel for the trucks. So my armies moved. And my armies had fuel and cannon shell and everything else like that. We could always buy whatever we had. And we also had opium and cocaine and just about whatever we wanted. So anyway, so LS, and that's why I was able to buy so many countries. And because, everyone regarded like oil and metal as this great secret. Like, ooh. And it's like, well, you just dig down there a ways. And it's all right there. And then you know how to heat it up and stuff, and that takes oil or coal, and you just need one little coal mine, which I had like 3 or 4 really big ones, and so that's how I found the coal anyway. I mean, there's oil coming out, sir. Anyway, and then you start bucketing it out, and then you got oil and coal. Anyway, and then later on, I paid for research into making coal or fuel from wood. And what you do with that is basically you take a bunch of logs. I think you take a bunch of logs and then you put them inside a thing and then you boil the water. You boil it and you cook it up and you keep the logs from actually combusting, I believe. I believe what you do is you heat them up as much as you can and you keep them from actually catching fire. And what that does is I think it breaks it up like what you do best is sawdust or something really light. But basically you cook them, I think, or something like that. I forget exactly what the process is, but it's steam and heat and what you get basically, and then the microbes get going, and you actually get a fuel out of that in about 6 months or a year or something like that. I forget exactly how it works, but anyway, there's all these ways of making fuel and stuff like that, and I knew them all, and I had them all, and I had paid for them all, so I had all the fuel I wanted. It was almost like a laughing joke. My people would just laugh with me because like, we are so rich. It's like, yeah, I know. And, you know, I mean, there's lots of stuff in the ground. So anyway, I own Germany, I own France, I owned Italy and Poland, and anyway. And the only problem was basically the black people were like, fuck this, man, we're just gonna take it. You know, and they started attacking, so. And, oh well. You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what their deal was. So anyway, and then there's Nixon and JFK and a bunch of other people, and they're trying to figure out who owns what, and they realize that nobody really knows who the president is or who Lucifer is, and there's a bunch of identity theft and a bunch of other stuff, and it gets to be a nightmare. And like I said, there's all these children, like there's all these guys in the desert that they just take guns and they basically give guns to their little like 8-year-old children. So there's little 8-year-old children wandering into town going, "Give me the keys to the car. Get out of the car. Here you go, Daddy." You know, out in the middle of the desert. It's like, what the? An 8-year-old kid stole the car. Well, I guess let's go get it back. Not that hard to find a car in the desert. And usually they'd get stuck or something like that. You know what I mean? Or they'd be stealing a horse or something like that. Like when some children stole some horses, and it's like, well... Anyway, and apparently they stole the horses for food or something like that. And I was like, they're not food. So anyway, and they were really trained horses too. Like, they're really expensive and they're trained horses, and they just use them for meat. And it's like, have you ever heard of a cow? Anyway, but the kids didn't know any different, and they just got the horses, and then they went and butchered them. So, anyway, and I got upset about that, but, you know, not that upset. So, it was just unfortunate and a waste of money and time and effort because they had been trained and were really good horses. So, anyway, it's like, you couldn't have chosen the cheap horses. You had to take the trained and really expensive horses. Okay. Anyway, but it was just, you know, I was like, whatever. You know, it doesn't really matter. So, it was just upsetting. So, anyway, lots of stuff happened. I mean, there's lots and lots and lots of stuff that happened over the years. And anyway, yeah. Anyway, so apparently there was some debate about who Lucifer was or who, you know, and like I said, I changed my name to Brian, and when I did that, then they're like, there's no record of you. You don't really own America anymore. And it's like, I just changed my name to Brian and made myself a citizen of my own fucking country. America. Because I wanted to be a citizen of my own country, and I thought it'd be cool. So when I named my country, and I was doing all the fingerprints and everything else, I made myself a citizen of America with my new name. But apparently, some people, when I changed my name from Lucifer Star to Brian, they're like, well, you're not Lucifer Star anymore, so therefore you don't have any money. I was like, what the... Anyway, and that's what happened. So, but apparently maybe they didn't know about exoskeletons and spaceships and... Please, no, no. Ah. Oh, well. Told I was the leader of 12 races. You know, it was like that. And then, like JFK's, like, ruling. Like, being electrocuted. Like I say, he attacked Korea and a whole bunch of other places. So, and John McCain was like torturing 250 Japanese and stuff like that. He tortured like 120 Japanese using electricity. So I was like, all right, that's it. You know, I was just like, light them up. You know, so like, anyway. And they had time travel.